Let me tell you about the time I yelled at a congressional candidate for office. I guess my story starts back in 2022. I was running for office. Um, Now, I met several candidates running for office at this period of time. And, like I wasn't really running for office. I made that fairly clear in the way that I dressed. I was there because I was an unrepresented citizen of this district, District 10, and I had worked to try to work through my party, asking questions to candidates at different events when I could. And I was very unsatisfied with what I was getting. I was constantly told that this is just the way that things are, and you kind of have to play the game and you have to do all these things. And it's like, well, if we're talking about something that's seriously infringing on our rights, why is everyone in the power structure okay with it? Even the people that say they're not okay with it, they are okay with it because they won't talk about it. They won't answer serious questions. But what I learned is the party helps the candidate hide from serious questions during the primary process, which makes the candidate completely unprepared for the general election, especially on the Republican side, because they don't actually have to debate. They don't actually have to come up with coherent policies. They just kind of hide away. They do events that are typically they're either fundraising events or party events. And at the party events, what you'll find is it's pretty much the same people over and over again. And a lot of them have made up their mind before the election started. Um, and then the donor events, which I don't know what that's like because I can't get in there. And that's part of what the story is about. So the candidate posted about a fundraising event that is taking place actually today. And so there's a phone number on there, and I was like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna call, and the call, doesn't answer. I leave a voicemail. In the meantime, the candidate had posted something about immigration, and I tweeted back. I said, "Hey, how? How do you plan to secure the border? Like, what power as a freshman congressman do you have to accomplish your goals? Like, tell me, educate me, the citizen of this district who you're supposed to be caring about voting for you. Please enlighten me, educate me. That's, in my opinion, that's the representative's job. The representative's job is not to tell you what they're going to do. The representative's job is to listen to you and to inform you. And so here I am just asking questions again, the only way I can, because I can't get into fundraising events, which we'll talk about in a second. And so I've done this a few times, put those questions up, and then I've sent text messages directly to the candidate with the questions from my tweet, like, hey, I want to make sure you're seeing this. And in the meantime, while I did that, the fundraiser calls me back. Um, and in the course of the conversation, the fundraiser says, we believe the people who donate deserve more time with the candidate. And so I said, so you're saying that the people that have money should have more representation than people who don't? And he said, I didn't say that. And I said, yes, that is true. You did not say the words that I said, but your intent and your actions actually say that. Because the fundraising event in itself tells the citizen, me, the individual who wants to go speak to the candidate who has already who has already gone through the other means to speak to the candidate and get questions, tells me exactly that you don't care about people that don't give you money. So I sent a text message to the candidate and I said, your fundraiser told me that people with money deserve more representation than others, than those without. And he's like, who said that? He answered me immediately, but his quick response and him ignoring all of my other responses tells me that he sees what I send him and he chooses to ignore me. So I picked up the phone and called. And the candidate says, "What do you want, Jeff?" And I was like, "Well, that's a nice way to answer the phone." Um, and then the candidate says, "You're harassing me. Your messages on X, your text messages, and now you're calling me. If you don't stop, I will seek legal action." And I'm like, literally frightened, to be honest with you, because I don't really have a lot of money. I can't afford a lawyer. And whether his allegations are true or not, I'm terrified. Now, think about that. This is somebody who wants power in my district threatening me with legal action because I want that candidate to answer questions because he wants me to vote for him. The conversation doesn't go well. And, during the course of the conversation, the candidate makes, misrepresents what I believe. It first states that he understands what I am trying to do, saying, "I know what you want to do. You want to uncap the House. Da, da, da. You want 1,000 people House of Representatives." And which just isn't true. I do want to uncap the House. I don't want 1,000 people House of Representatives. I want 870. You say you understand this issue and you've already made your decision up, which, by the way, his decision is based the fact that he doesn't believe that it's constitutional, which is just it's not a coherent, like, it may, a regular voter that doesn't understand like government might go, "Oh, okay, yeah, he's probably right because he's in power and he's a lawyer so he knows." But in reality, that's an asinine thing to say because for the first 100 plus years of our country, the House was apportioned by the population and expanded with the population growth. So if it's not constitutional to uncap the House and expand the House of Representatives, then how was it done for the first 100 plus years of our existence? So again, what this tells me, the educated voter, it tells me that the candidate is not educated or doesn't care to be educated. And that is frustrating. The candidate should communicate to us, the voters, and allow us to make the decisions we want to make simply by not studying the issue, not listening to the questions that are asked, and not educating us on that, throwing it away and saying, basically, we can't do it. The rules don't allow for it. I mean, that's just such a silly, silly thing. So, and so in the course of the conversation, the candidate goes, "Jeff, why are you so angry?" And I said, "You know, I'm not as much angry as I am disappointed. I believed in you. I believed that you were better than this. I'm frustrated because people are not represented in this country. The system of campaign finance, the system of parties, what we have in place does not allow people to be heard, and it's a lot of it is related to the House being capped. And these are serious issues that serious politicians should want to talk about. I promise you, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, and Alexander Hamilton would have loved these decision discussions, right? And the fact that we have candidates running for office that could care less to have it, like, you should want to have the conversation because you're passionate about your job. So anyways, that's my story about the candidate. I'm going to tell you just a brief what it did to me and my family and whatnot. So, and so I'm sitting in my office and I'm sad and I look sad. And maybe there's a tear or a few coming off my face, and my twins walk by my office and I can see that they see me. And I kind of like, I turn away, I look back into my computer, and my daughter comes in and she just gives me a hug and she says, "Daddy, I love you." And she walks away. And then, of course, I'm crying more. And a few minutes later, my other daughter comes by and she does the same. And I'm like, what am I gonna do? And so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take them out to dinner. I text my wife and we plan to go to Red Robin with the family. And so I go upstairs to get ready and kind of like get my mind right. I could see that I was sad and they saw that I was sad, and I just kind of wanted to get the sadness out up in my room. And where it didn't have to affect them. And I came back downstairs, and on my laptop were two little notes. And they say, I love you, Dad, so much. I'm so sorry. I hope you feel better tomorrow. Anyways, I've said my story. I I appreciate you listening. If Look, if you hear this and you are like, I want to know more, then go subscribe to my Substack. Go to subscribe to Freeman Newsletters. I write for both of those outlets. The podcast comes out through Politics and Parenting. Substack, I write for Freeman Newsletters. Um, and look, go on X, find the candidates running in a primary race in your district, and ask them questions every single day. Every single time they post about fundraising, every single time they post about anything, ask them how they plan to get it done. Ask them to give you an idea. Ask them to inform you. Ask them to educate you. And when they say things that are ridiculous, don't don't be afraid to call them out. Maybe something will change one day. Peace and love.